What's up, y'all? YGO 2010 here today. Me and my friend were having a very heated discussion about Chaos Dragons, and I'm gonna basically just talk about some of the stuff and break the deck down and help you get ways to beat it or whatever. Although I really think the deck is beatable. Even if they have the nuts first turn, like, it's still easy to come back from that deck. The first thing that I'm going to talk about, and the most important thing for the deck, Future Fusion. This is not necessarily the make or break card of the deck, but it is definitely like the card that starts everything. Like, they open with this first turn, they have Graves set up, and there's so many chaos monsters that make you remove a light and dark in there that it's a problem. Like, from there on, like, no matter what deck you're playing, it's an uphill battle once they've got the Future Fusion off first turn. And of course, your standard back row hate can get rid of this. So if you know that you're going to be playing Chaos Dragons, try to save your MSTs or whatever back row stuff that you have, back row hate that you have, because they don't commit to back row. Like, a general Chaos Dragon deck runs 28 to 30 monsters, and the rest are going to be spell cards. Like, no traps. Almost all Chaos Dragon decks have the traps in the side. So definitely save your MST if you can for this, and as soon as they activate it, chain it. That way they won't get their send, and they'll have that -1 from their hand. Another important card is Lyla. Most Chaos Dragon decks don't run MSTs, so well, actually, Lyla and Raikou. Raikou's a little more versatile. He gets rid of monsters and spelling traps, as opposed to Lyla's strictly spelling traps. But Lyla, she, like I said, they don't run MSTs in the main, so this is their back row hate. And Raikou, he can function as both, but generally people get rid of the monsters because they attack into the Raikou. And Lyla, in conjunction with Forbidden Lance, can get around skill drain, which could potentially be, a little hurtful to the deck. And next card, probably the most troublesome card in the whole deck, surprisingly, is Light Pulsar Dragon. It's, a chaos monster, so, removes the light and dark from the grave to special summon itself. And also it has that other effect, like Dark some more, where you can send a light and dark from your hand to grave to revive it from the grave. And people have been finding ways to exploit him missing his timing and whatnot, but he's still just like an all-around good card. Like, most of your destruction stuff is gonna just pop off his effect and make him bring back this guy. And it's just like 2800 right now is a hard attack to get over with in this format. It's just a high, like it's close to 3000. That's the easiest way for me to put it. And his revival effect, he brings a monster from hand or grave, it doesn't target. So if you do ever think about putting in DD Crow against him, it's not really going to help unless their hand isn't that big. But generally speaking, since they don't commit to back row, their hand is going to be pretty decent. Yeah, unless you got the Messenger of Peace. Another card that's pretty troublesome sometimes to stare in the face is Dark Flare Dragon. In my opinion, he helps in the mirror match and the Inzektor matchup. He gets rid of their monsters out of grave in the mirror match, and in Inzektors, which can be a very hard matchup, he gets rid of any monster that they could equip, i.e., the Hornet, which is the worst possible card that you want to see, because your dragons, they can only do but so much. Like Pulsar, he'll bring back a Red Eyes, but after the Red Eyes is out, he's just a sitting duck if it's not your turn of if you're the Chaos Dragon player. Another card that's fairly easily brought out is Dark Arm Dragon. You know, everybody knows about him. He's infamous. He got put down to 2, then down to 1 because, you know, he's so good. And it's even in this day and age, you know, having 3 darks in grave, especially with this deck, as much removing as they have going on, he is extremely easy to summon. Here's one of the setup cards of the deck, Card Trooper. Most people run 1. I prefer, you know, to run 2 of them, but he definitely sets up the grave. Like, along with your Light Swarm milling, he's actually controlled milling. Like, you can choose to do 1, 2, or 3, but you know, generally people do 3 anyway. I always do 3, and you know, he hasn't hurt me in the long run. I really like him. You know, he can bump heads with Ryo or the Sabersaurus if they summon it first turn or whatever. But Dino Rabbit, you know, it just has not been a threat to me at all. Because like most of my monsters that I bring out, I make them use up their counter. And since some of them are inherent summons, you know, it gets over Doka. And that one that they negate with Lagia, they looking stuck because I still got 4 more monsters to summon. Another heavy hitter of the deck is Gorz, surprisingly. Since you don't commit to back row or having a lot of monsters on the field, when they do all this popping and destroying, you know, you'll be left wide open, and then, you know, they're thinking they're swinging for game, and then, you know, they swing into this guy, and he's pretty hard to, not hard to get over per se, but, you know, just to have 2 monsters out from nothing is definitely, you know, not something you want to see. Let's see. Another card, this Effect Veiler. I don't care what anybody says. My personal opinion is that Effect Veiler needs to be at 3 in this deck. You know, because there's no chalices in the deck, no traps to stop monsters, not a priority. Well, fast effect timing has taken place. And like this at 3 is just, this and Light Pulsar are the only things I think need to be at 3 in the deck. Anything else, you know, is up for debate. That and Tour Guide. Okay, yeah, I can say Tour Guide at 3. But Effect Veiler at 3, it's just too good. Like, every deck out has monsters that use effects, whether on summon or just trigger effect or ignition effect, something like that. And Veiler right now in our format is just too good. There's not really a way for you to get around the Veiler, you know, because most decks run him at 2 to 3 anyway. But you know, just I guess try to bait it out. If you're good at reading your opponent, try to, you know, bait it out. Another card, I call this guy Big Boss. This is BLS. He definitely does some damage. Whether it be his removal or his attacking twice. Not only does he set up grave by removing the light and dark, but he also is like just pure power, 3000. He's stronger than Red Eyes, and like I said earlier, even Red Eyes is a force by himself. And last card I'm gonna go over is Eclipse Wyvern. He's pretty good too. You know, when he's sent to the grave from anywhere, Future Fusion, detached, sent from hand to grave, anything. You banish light or dark level 7 or higher, and when he's removed from the grave, you add that monster back to your hand. Really, once he's in the grave, I don't see there, you know, being a way around his adding back effect. Like, that's probably the only drawback, is that it's hard to get over his effect, but he's not strong. So, you know, I think that, you know, balances out. Because summoning him first turn, you know, against most decks nowadays, he's not a good defense, because he gets ran over very easily. But yeah, that's the breakdown of the deck. Generally, like in my opinion, the cards I named were the ones that were the ones that needed to be looked out for the most, with of course Future Fusion and Light Pulsar being at the top of my list. If you can get rid of this as soon as they play it, then you already, you know, even the scales, even if just a little bit, they're, you know, not necessarily in anybody's favor too much anymore. And then Light Pulsar, he's just revival upon revival. So if you can remove him as early as possible, then your games will go a lot smoother. It's just a breakdown of the deck. I'll try and do some more breakdowns later on. But comment, let me know what you guys think of other ways to get around Chaos Dragons. And, you know, if you really want them to stop running the meta, you know, I think you should take it upon yourself just to beat every Chaos Dragon player you can find. Alright guys, YGO out.